Pokemon has been the biggest name in catching tiny monsters for a very long time, but a new game called Palworld has hit Steam and sold gangbusters. Now fans of both series are fighting each other and calling for a higher power to intervene, that being Nintendo, and it looks like Nintendo has answered. Let's talk about that on That Park Place. I'm Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place, where we talk about streaming, theme parks, entertainment, and video games. Let's get into it. Any comment? Oh, by the way, Christian Coriejo for $2. Any thoughts on Palworld, the game, and the controversy? Yes, we do have some thoughts on that. In fact, we are going to be going over here to Bounding into Comics. Our good friend Spencer J. Baculi. I actually don't know what his middle initial is, but I dubbed thee J, sir. Palworld, the Pokemon Company, launches investigation into Palworld designs after receiving many inquiries alleging IP infringement. First of all, let's go to that one right here. Receiving many inquiries. What do you think that means, guys?
It means that people are mad on the internet and they're yelling at Pokemon about it to sue them into oblivion.
Yeah, I think that there's a bunch of angry fans that are calling them to be like, guys, we don't like your game. We feel personally attacked, and we want you to stop their game because we want you to be more successful, and we are so angry right now.
See, I didn't know about this whole thing until NBC ran kind of during one of their NFL games. They ran a little like Pokemon-inspired graphics package, and it was like, oh, okay, cool, and it had the music and everything. I looked on Twitter, and everybody's like, Pokemon, what are you doing? Sue them into oblivion. It's like, whoa. They probably licensed it out. Relax, guys. But people get defensive about this stuff for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And I've been there. I've snorted the pixie dust of the past. There were reasons that I hated DreamWorks. Oh, there it is. It's another hit right there. There were reasons that I hated DreamWorks and the quote-unquote DreamWorks face that ended up on all those posters, that weird toothy smirk. I did not like Over the Hedge back in the day, but now I'm happy that DreamWorks did the work so that NBC Universal could fly now, because I can't even imagine the deficit we would be running if there was no children's entertainment.
They fly now?
Well, not DreamWorks, but if you go back to what was it? Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Yeah.
They did very well.
For the budget, they did well. They made more money on that film than Disney made on their last few animated endeavors. But let's get back to Palworld. After receiving a flood of inquiries, ostensibly sent by Nintendo-owned franchises fans, out of nothing more than a self-assumed duty to blindly defend the stagnating game series' refusal to innovate. Oh, wow, Spencer coming in hot. Alleging IP infringement by the newly released title, the Pokemon Company has announced that they will officially be undertaking a copyright investigation into Pocket Bear Inc.'s Palworld monster designs. That doesn't look like a Pokemon right there. What is that?
That's a person. That's like a trainer in Palworld.
Cortana, got it.
Okay. That makes sense. First announced in June 2021. Oh, so this has been coming for a while. Palworld is a monster-catching open-world survival game. Think Pokemon meets Ark Survival Evolved, wherein players are tasked with collecting various pals to help them in exploring and surviving the local Galapagos Islands. That's funny. To this end, after capturing a given pal in a pal sphere, players can then assign their new companions to perform various tasks around their local camp, including, but not limited to, farming, fighting, and forced labor. Oh, wow. The latter usually done in service of manufacturing more items or developing the production and defense capabilities of one's home base. Okay, so Kara, I tuned into your stream. It was, when I watched it was yesterday. I'm not sure what day you did it, but everybody go check out Kara's channel if you want to watch someone who plays a lot of games. She plays them with X-Ray Girl and with Az.
X-Ray Girl.
Can you give me your opinion on Palworld as a game?
I love it. I mean, the game came out a week ago and I already have over 40 hours in it.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
It's so good.
What is so much better about it than Pokemon? Obviously, I mean, there are several Pikachus in the frame here.
I mean, obviously, I do love me some Pikachu. I am a Pokemon fan. I honestly, I can't count how many Pikachus. I've been collecting Pikachus for years. And so obviously, like, I am a fan of Pokemon. And Palworld has been the Pokemon game I always wanted. So, like, having the ability to, like, have your Pokemon out with you and doing the battles alongside them, like the open world, the crafting, like, it's just a genuinely fun game that has a lot of different mechanics in it. And I do think, like, the creature capture is a mechanic that a lot of people are seeing as a no-no. And obviously there are some inspirations from Pokemon into Palworld, but this is the game that I wanted Pokemon like the Legends of Arceus to be.
So with that, can I ask, what is the difference here between the capture mechanic, unless you were being vague in order to protect the monetization of the stream? What's the difference here in the capture mechanic, and what makes it different from Pokemon?
For one, this actually shows you the percentage rate that you have for the ability to capture something, which is nice. For Pokemon, it's just very they don't really give you that kind of percentage rate. For Palworld, they do. And I think that is one thing that is a plus for Palworld, is that they've given you that kind of visual representation of like your ability to catch something. Like, it can show me that I have like a 0.3% chance of catching this monster, all the way to
So
it's just, it's a little bit more intuitive.
It sounds like it's a little bit more in the RPG segment, maybe more. It sounds like it's more for grown-ups, first of all, whereas Pokemon is in the primary target demographic for Pokemon games skews a little bit younger, even though it's so complicated.
Yes. And Palworld is definitely more for the older age range of Pokemon fans, like myself, like X-Ray Girl. So I do think that that they are leaning more towards us, who are really craving that this is the Pokemon game that we always wanted.
Mm-hmm. So right now, the thing that you can do with your Pokemon in a Pokemon game is pretty much you can battle them. And is that pretty much it?
Yes. Well, you can battle with them. Like, you yourself do not fight in any of the Pokemon games. It's all just the Pokemon. You have your 4 attacks. And it's more of a turn-based, where this is more of a very fluid battle system.
I see.
So let's get back to Spencer's article here. Let's see. To this end, after capturing a given PAL in a PAL sphere, players can then assign their new companion to perform various tasks around their local camp. Sorry, we talked about the forced labor aspect. Yeah, I can understand why you chose that word and not the other one. But while most such monster-catching titles force players to rely solely on their monsters to engage with their respective combat elements, Palworld instead invites them to get in on the action. This is the thing that always makes no sense to me in a Pokemon match. Okay, if I see a Metapod, if in the real world I come across a Metapod, I'm just picking that thing up by the tail and just picking it up and whacking it against a rock until it's until I can then get it. It makes no sense to me to throw another thing that does not have, like, Metapod versus Metapod. Maybe I would switch it out. What that's the technique, right? Because you have to, if you want to split XP, you got to switch Pokemon partway through the battle. Anyways, to swords, to full-on firearms. Yeah, I can understand why Nintendo. Oh, look at that!
Look at that! It is so, like, you can
That's
actually,
amazing.
like, you can do this. You can set up these little stations around your bases, and you can have multiple bases. You can have, like, you can set your monsters up, your pals up, to defend your base, because there's raiders that'll come in and attack you and try to attack your monsters. So it's like it's adorable. And I mean, there's even like this little fox that you can use as a flamethrower. There's a bazooka that you can put a penguin in and it shoots out a like an ice bomb thing. Like it is just so fun.
This looks like
It's
And you
hilarious.
It's
You know,
open world. It's crafting. You can fly on mounts. You can fly
There's
your
base
mount.
building and stuff, right?
Kara,
Uh-huh.
hang on. Kara, you realize you've been canceled once before, and now PETA's going to show up on your doorstep next, right?
Oh, I don't care.
Okay,
Bring it.
I'm just letting you know.
I would love for PETA to try to cancel this. By the way, PETA has come after Palworld already as well, because that's how they stay relevant. They go after the things that are popular.
That's how they stay relevant.
They're also like the #1 killer of shelter animals in the United States.
I know.
So,
I know.
Yep.
it's a bunch of hypocrites. PETA, if you're watching, you are a bunch of hypocrites. Thanks to both its offering of what can best be described as a more expansive, sorry, not expensive, it's actually cheaper than Pokemon, I'm pretty sure, take on Pokemon Legends Arceus, which notably drew high praise for actually pushing the franchise in the open world direction many had longed hope it would eventually take, and players widely having found themselves frustrated with the lack of effort put by Pokemon into their recent Sword and Shield and Scarlet Violet entries. That Palworld's January 18th, 2024 early access release was met with a tidal wave of success, selling over 1 million copies in its first 8 hours on sale.
Would you like to know what that number is now?
Please do tell me.
As of 15 hours ago, just on Steam, is over 8 million copies sold. Which comes out to 8 million just on Steam at the discounted rate that they have right now, which is $27, is $216 million.
Oh my goodness.
It's over.
And that's just Steam. That's not even including the fact that it is on Xbox.
Okay.
Isn't that over like a third of what Hogwarts Legacy did all 2023? And we're doing
know.
this.
All I know is that this is like they spent $6 million. It's like it was like $6.7 million to build this game. And look at how much they have made just on Steam.
And that's before you get into DLC. That's before you get into expanding into more consoles. Culture, what were you going to say?
Nothing. It's just this is something that's happened, and I know Karen knows this, in the games for a long time. You used to have a small development team, very dedicated people. They didn't complain about being there 20 hours a day, probably slept several nights a week at their at their desk, because I know these people. I mean, this was true even way back when, in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, when I was involved in some game stuff. And the people they were dedicated to doing what they were doing because they saw something on the horizon. There was a lot of different incentives in place. A lot of people had a piece of the company potentially, or a piece of, the action if the game did well. And so they worked and just dedicated their lives to making the best possible thing. But the team was small. I mean, it's not like, consider that Bethesda, had a team building, the first several games that was very, very small. Same thing with Rockstar. Rockstar's teams with the first, games, Vice City, all the way up through Vice City, very small teams of people. Now you have thousands of employees, and then you have like a marketing team of 70 people, and then you have like all this localization stuff from, all over the place, which those costs will come down because of AI, but you have a small team working on this game, Palworld, right? And it's going gangbusters, as Kara pointed out. So it's possible to make a high quality thing everybody loves for no money. $7 million is no money in the video game world. $500 million is about, what you're seeing now, $450-500 million to build a game now. Especially
but the fact that they've done over $200 million.
That's insane.
Amazing.
7 days. In 1 week, 6 days.
That's all early adopters, by the way. That's before this hits the mainstream press, and of course,
this is still an early access game. They didn't allow any pre-sales for it. No pre-sales happened on this. All of this has been since the game went live, like last Thursday.
Amazing.
That's it.
Absolutely amazing.
That's all this is.
Let's see. I think we're getting some. By the way, Christian Corriejo for $5. If Nintendo has no legal case against Palworld, they should let the game be available on the Switch and capitalize on its success. It would be a win-win. Agreed.
They should.
Now,
But
the one thing I will say is that it is not a game that you can play offline. It is a online game to where you do have to be connected to the internet, that kind of stuff. So that could be where I could see an issue with it going on to the Switch. Like I know my husband has been playing it on the Steam Deck. Like we both already bought it in this house. So I mean, 2 of those cells were from my house. And so he's been playing it on Steam Deck, which is a completely different format than what I've been playing it on. So it like if they could feasibly make it work on the Switch, I think that could be good, but I don't think the Switch hardware could keep up with it. That is, I think if the Switch comes out with a newer version of it, like I've got the OLED one, and I cannot see that game working on my Switch OLED.
No, I can see that based on the graphics that I've seen. If you
Mhm.
look at the way that Fortnite functions on a Switch versus on a current generation console, it's night and day. It's cartoons versus God rays, as they like to call them.
God rays.
No, seriously.
Jacob Foxfires
Yeah.
for 10. While I hope for the best for Palworld and want to see them continue to develop the game more, I have this nagging feeling this could be another Temtem situation. Gassed up, but gets dropped in 2 months.
I
Can
don't know.
anyone
If you
comment on
look
that?
at Pocket Pair, they have another game which admittedly was a very similar game to Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and I think that and like that game is still having updates. It's called Craftopia.
Oh,
Let
I've heard
me
of that
see
one.
and I really enjoyed Craftopia. There as of January 22nd, there was a new patch on it. So, I mean, they're still actively working on this game, and this game has been out. The last time I played it was back in 2020.
Mhm.
So, I think Palworld's going to be here to stay unless Nintendo nukes them off the face of the earth. with
Well, yeah,
their
that's
lawyers.
the problem when it really comes down to it. And thank you very much for the very generous $10 super chat, Jacob Foxfires. In this case, you can't copyright a game mechanic. That's been why you see so many opolies out there, those Monopoly ripoffs. The problem will
Mhm.
be is if it creates confusion in the market. But in the gaming community in particular, if you look at how many match 3 games there are out there, like what is it, Royal Match, Candy Crush, that are almost the exact same game. In fact, if you
Mhm.
showed screenshots of the 2 of them, if you didn't look carefully, you might not be able to, unless you were very familiar with both of them, you might not be able to tell the games apart. With Pokemon, obviously, Nintendo is the first name in the space, but there are other games in which you catch monsters. Monster Hunter comes to mind. Digimon.
I
And
loved Digimon.
and
Um,
I had the theme song stuck in my head back in the there he goes. But at the same time, somehow that does not look like a Pokemon to me, despite that it is pretty close to the idea of a Pokemon. That being said, the
Mhm.
designs in Palworld, they do look a lot like Pokemon. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you think the makers of Palworld are in danger, or will Nintendo leave them alone? Tell us your thoughts because we would love to know. This clip was part of our now regular Thursday live stream, which starts at noon Eastern Time. Of course, if you're not in that time zone, just hit the notification bell if you'd like YouTube to tell you when that is. Like this video if you like this video. If you know someone who is as interested as we are in this kind of thing, then maybe you should share the link with them. And of course, please consider subscribing to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.